talk about that. So we gave everybody kind of a shopping list of, so to get ready for the week. And we had these different groups. And I think I sent that to you as well. So you've seen that. But let's talk about the different components, because what's interesting about it is, so we kind of gave everybody an overview of the week. But one thing I noticed is like, we didn't mention greens. We just mentioned kind of what are the foundation things you're putting in here, but we didn't mention greens, because the assumption is greens go in every one, right?
Yeah.
And so let's start first with that. So when you think about your greens, your leafy greens or your herbs, what are the ones that you have found that are, for nutritional reasons, but also just that they work well with the smoothies, helping that?
I mean, well, the first thing I'll say is you have to go with your taste. Like if you put a green in and it's like, wait, like if you put arugula in, I've done that before and it's good, but you're kind of like, whoa. That's when you have to balance it out with a little more of the sweet, because arugula is very bitter. And then, you kind of have to add maybe more sweet to kind of go, oh, okay. So like to me, kale goes really, really well. The other thing a lot of people put in their smoothies is spinach. And I have there's a little caveat with spinach, chard, beet greens. Those are very high oxalate. So if we eat a lot of those greens, every day raw, like in a smoothie, the chances of building up oxalates in the kidneys becomes higher. And it's not like it's going to happen to everybody. There's probably like 10% of the population that are going to be prone to kidney stones. So in that case,
what are oxalates?
So oxalates, so in greens, in plant foods, even, in other kinds of greens or other kinds of plant foods, like, beans and grains and things, oxalates are organic acids that are bound to minerals. So their oxalates are bound to like the calcium and the magnesium, and it's protective. It's like kind of holding on to those minerals. So sometimes we properly prepare our food, like we soak and we sprout our things. But what happens with oxalates is they're kind of sharp. And like one time I remember I ate like a raw, like I think it was an older chard. Like I had just gone shopping and I grabbed a piece of chard and I just chopped it down and swallowed it. I remember feeling the sharpness in my throat and I was like, and it kind of hurt. And I was kind of clearing my throat for a while. It sort of scratched my throat. That's what oxalates are. They're sharp. And so, and they can build up. We can't always process them. Sometimes they can get out of the digestive tract and they can like lodge into joints. So sometimes too much raw spinach can start making people, especially that are prone to like being arthritic, feel kind of achy and sore. That happens to my husband if he eats too much raw spinach. So there's different, sorry about my lighting.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fascinating what you're saying. I'm like holding on to every word.
Then for some people, those oxalates can build up in the kidneys. And then all of a sudden somebody has kidney stones. So I will say when the green smoothie revolution started about maybe 10 to 12 years ago, I know even one of my friends was a doctor, a lot of people who started getting kidney stones and oxalate stones. So spinach, chard, and beet greens are high.
Okay.
The other ones have some too, but maybe not as high. So you want to be careful then. And the way to kind of combat that, and what a lot of people can do just to even make some of the greens more bioavailable, is you can also quickly blanch or cook your greens and then use them in your smoothie. And then that way you kind of minimize the oxalates. So what sometimes people do is they will say, all right, I'm just going to buy like, a big bag of spinach or like 3 bunches of kale. I'm going to, take the stems off, chop it up a little bit. I'm going to blanch it. I'm going to throw it in hot water for 2 minutes. I'm going to pop it out into cold water, and then I'm going to strain it, let it kind of, try to squeeze the water out. And then maybe I'm going to take them and put them in little balls and either maybe put them in like an ice tray or a bag. They're somehow, or in some kind of Tupperware, so they're separated, and put them in the freezer. So when I do my smoothie, I'll just grab one of those little things of greens that are going to be, more blanched. And that's one thing somebody can do, especially if you're just like, I just love spinach, I have to have spinach in it. If you're doing it on a regular basis, you just want to check that, because there are a lot of oxalates in there, and it can over time be kind of like, maybe that's too much for you.
Okay, this is interesting. You just said something that made me think of, and I love how whenever we do this, because we go off on all these tangents because
Yeah.
they're so helpful. So that is a great way, because I think, of course, especially this time of year when maybe you're not able to grow as much, you are buying the produce, farmer's market or the grocery store. And, I think of the nutrient depletion, right? And so what you just recommended, does that sort of help preserve that by any chance, versus it just sitting in the refrigerator, you know what I mean? Just kind of starting to wilt or whichever, I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, well, it does in a way, because when you get it home from the market or when you pick it, and again, like if let's say you have an abundance of it and it's really and it's primo right now and you harvest it,
Yep.
then, the longer it sits, the more it starts to kind of degrade. So you're sort of, capturing the essence right then and there.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
yeah, you are. Mhm.
Okay, great. That was my sense. And I'm so glad I asked that, because I've always wondered about that.